Hi there, I'm Alex from Southern Ukulele Store, and this week we're going to take a special look at Ohana Baritone Ukuleles. Ohana Baritones have always held a special place in my heart because the more I learn about the ukulele and the more I learn specifically about baritone ukuleles, the more unique Ohana ukes feel. See, the baritone ukulele doesn't have this big Hawaiian origin and this exotic origin going back 100 years or so. No, the baritone ukulele was invented by two people who both claim ownership over the idea around the same time, and now both of those people are dead. We'll never really know who came up with the idea first. But in the late 1940s, two different companies, Vega and Favilla, both patented ideas for a baritone ukulele, and they came from different places and their explanations for each are slightly different. But what I like about Ohana's is that they are the brand out there that most closely resemble the original Favilla ukuleles, which were made in New York. And the idea behind the baritone ukulele originally wasn't to create this ukulele, it was to create a learner's guitar, which is exactly what guitarists have been saying to us in a derogatory way for years. And the truth is that they are right. But in the 70 years that have passed, the baritone ukulele has evolved, and modern baritone ukes, the Kalas of this world, Lanakais, the Flights, the Kanaleas, the Kamakas, they all follow a template made by Martin in the 1960s. And Martin themselves took their baritone ukulele from the Favilla idea. The Favillas have a slightly shorter scale than the average baritone. If you think your average baritone will have a 20.75 inch scale length, that's the measurement from here to here. The Ohanas actually have a 19.5 inch scale length, so here to here, but a big body. So all Ohana baritones are actually secret stealth tenor ukuleles with long necks. And as a result, if you're a baritone ukulele player who wants to tune your ukulele to GCEA, I recommend an Ohana, and I always have. If you're a baritone ukulele player that wants a slightly lighter action, because the string length is shorter, Ohana's the brand to look at. So we're going to take a look at 5 baritone ukuleles today from Ohana. We're going to go through the range of mahogany, traditional style baritones, and at the end we're going to take a very special look at kind of cedar and rosewood modern looking baritone too. We're going to start with the BK10. Let's begin. Okay, the first ukulele we're going to look at today is the Ohana BK10. This is the ukulele that's launched 1,000 baritone ukulele careers. It's the most affordable ukulele in the Ohana range. It's all laminate mahogany. It looks like a traditional baritone, the only decoration being this 3-ply plastic rosette around the sound hole. There's no front or back binding. It's a natural finish, technically a satin finish, but you can feel the pores in the wood on this kind of finish here. You have a laminate mahogany neck going up to these open geared tuners, a 38mm nut width on Ohana baritones with a 29mm string spacing, and a nice round C-shaped profile which kind of comes back in on itself. There is nothing not to like about this ukulele. When I have had students in the past look at baritone ukes, this is the thing I've recommended to them if they're starting out and don't want to spend too much. It's got the spirit of these early Favillas in it too, without going mad on the price. So let's give the BK10 a play and see what you think. Second up today, we've got the very similar looking, with slight differences, Ohana BK14. The BK14 is more closely reminiscent of your average Style 2 ukulele. You know, most Martin ukuleles, most Harmonies and Favillas and Vegas, you know, you have a standard model which would have a very sound hole rosette of some kind but no binding. The BK14 is essentially the BK10 but with front and back binding. The back binding is just straight up plastic. I thought it was wood at first, but the closer you look at it, it's got no kind of wood grain to it. You have front plastic binding, thick plastic binding with a 3-ply plastic binding that matches the sound hole rosette. It's still got that 19.5-inch scale length with the baritone body, so it's nice and slinky in your hands, not too hard to play, with these open gear tuners like the model before, and the 38mm nut width with the 29mm string spacing. The BK14 is for those that don't want something flash, but they want something flashier than the basic model. Let's give it a play and see what you think. Let's see how much the binding affects the sound of the ukulele. Next up today, we're going to take a look at the Ohana BK20. The BK20 is the first ukulele in the Ohana line to have a solid top. The 20 series ukuleles across all the sizes, solid top. This is still mahogany, solid mahogany top, laminate mahogany back and sides. You'll notice that it still has the same sound hole rosette, which is the 3-ply plastic binding, but it has the aged cream front and back binding. And I am a sucker for cream binding. I love it. I love the way it looks against dark wood, and hopefully you do too. It's still got that natural finish to it with the mahogany neck, natural finish on the neck. The same open gear tuners as the previous models with the 38mm nut width and 29mm string spacing. The BK20 of note feels just a touch lighter in my hands than the two ukuleles I've looked at before. That could just be this one, or it could be a feature that you get with a solid wood instrument as opposed to an all laminate instrument. Who knows? We'll never truly know the answer, just giving my observation. Let's give the BK20 a play and see what you think. The last mahogany ukulele we're going to look at today is this, the Ohana BK35G. The BK35G is all solid mahogany. It has a high gloss finish which extends up the neck as well, which is quite a rare thing to find on new instruments in this day and age. The tuners have been upgraded to Grover open gear tuners, and the headstock itself has some kind of bound trim to it to set it off. Still have the same 38mm nut width and the same 29mm string spacing, although with the gloss finish on the neck, something about it just feels a little bit deeper than the other necks we've played today. You have a white cream rosette in place of the 3-ply binding, but you still have the wood trim with a 3-ply top to it for the sides, and that extends on this model to the back. So the binding on this, all the cosmetic detail, it really is a good noteworthy step up. But if you were to look at these ukuleles from a distance, you wouldn't necessarily see those differences. All of these ukuleles today have an oven coal fingerboard and bridge. Older Ohanas would have had rosewood, but at some point in the last 5 years, I think around 2017, maybe 6 years ago now, Ohana switched to oven coal. So most models have that as the fingerboard and bridge wood now. Before we play this ukulele and tie up with the last uke of the day, I'm going to give you one last baritone ukulele fact that I love. The man who claims ownership of the baritone ukulele idea is a player called Arthur Godfrey. He took his designs to a couple of different places before Vega made his instruments. He was a radio personality, I think maybe even an early TV personality, and his baritone ukuleles, the range he had, the model he played was not called a baritone ukulele, it was called a solo lute. And that was inlaid into the headstock of his ukuleles. So lots of people who saw Arthur Godfrey's instruments thought that it was a lute. He actually inadvertently slowed down the popularity and progress of the baritone ukulele just by insisting that they named it something different. So we can honour that by calling it a baritone ukulele or a solo lute, whatever you wish. I'm going to play the BK35G solo lute for you now and see what you think. Okay, the final ukulele we're going to look at today is the Ohana BK50G solo lute ukulele. It's all solid wood. It has a solid cedar top and a solid rosewood back and sides. So this is a cannon. It's a loud instrument. It's got projection. It's got depth. It's still got warmth, but on top of that comes an untamed sound that you don't get with mahogany. Mahogany is much more insular. It's much more sitting around the campfire, whereas this is a little bit like a space heater by comparison. You have a shell rosette and you have the same shell as the front binding with what looks like mahogany trim around the outsides, around the outside, around the outside. You have on the back here a strip as well to separate those two pieces for the rosewood back. Oven coal fingerboard and bridge. The neck is bound. It's a high gloss finish for this instrument on the neck and the body as well. Going up to the Ohana headstock, which is also bound on this model with the open gear tuners. The BK50G is much more of a modern baritone, but it retains that 19.5-inch scale length. So it's very old fashioned, it's true to itself, but it has the volume that people playing in modern ukulele groups or people looking to fingerpick prefer. Let's give the BK50G a play and see what you think. If you can't hear the difference between them, then I failed you, because this could not be more different to the mahogany uke we looked at just before it. There you have it, folks. We've taken a look at 5 Ohana baritones, but which one was your favourite? Have you played baritone before? What's your favourite piece to play on the baritone ukulele? Please do let us know in the comments section. If you have any questions, you can contact me on 01202 430 820 or email me at alex@ukulele.co.uk. Selfishly, I'm also going to promote my baritone ukulele course. There's very few baritone ukulele resources out there, and as a lifelong baritone ukulele lover, I have recorded some of my favourite exercises for intermediate players that you can find at ukeswiv.com. I will also put the information for that on the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back very, very soon.